I got cystic fibrosis. See, I've got cystic fibrosis.
Hello, staying salty people. What's up? My name is Chelsea. And clearly from the title, we are talking about mental health and cystic fibrosis. So, if I'm being completely transparent and honest with you guys, I have honestly been dreading this topic, and we have known this for a few weeks now, and I have dreaded recording this video the entire time. The reason for that being, I believe that my opinion and view and perspective on cystic fibrosis in relation to mental health is in the minority within the CF community. Before I started anything, I kind of wanted to just tell you guys that I in no way think there's anything to be shameful about mental illness. It is something that many of us can't control, and there's nothing that should be taboo about speaking about it, talking about it. And the reason we're doing it this week is to bring awareness to mental health. And I honestly went to college and I studied psychology all 4 years, graduated with an undergraduate degree in psychology because I was so intrigued with mental health. I went to school to learn about psychology, partly because it does run in my family. Very close people in my life have had and had to deal with mental health issues. And I grew up always being asked about my mental health in relation to my cystic fibrosis. Now, I have a very different story than most people. I am not on any antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, any neurologically based medications, and I never have been. But there has been periods in my life that I debated, so I kind of just wanted to be open with you guys today and talk about my opinions on cystic fibrosis and mental health. So to start off, my genuine understanding and belief is, whether it be cystic fibrosis or any other illness, having an illness does not inherently make you depressed. One does not cause the other, and you don't have to have one to have the other. So I don't believe that just because I have cystic fibrosis that I then am going to be depressed. And I've voiced that opinion before on social media, and I've been quite honestly brutally attacked by people saying that clearly I haven't dealt with CF bad enough, clearly I haven't seen what it can do to someone, I haven't actually dealt with what the horrors of CF can do to your body, and to the point where I deleted everything that I said because people just attacked me. But I have dealt with a lot of it. I have not been diagnosed with depression or anything like that, but there has been points I vividly remember in the middle of college. I had been in and out of the hospital so frequently, and this was the first time in my life that I'd ever really been in the hospital a lot, that I laid in my hospital bed one night and I just cried and I cried, and I thought to myself, not suicidal thoughts, but thoughts of, if this is the life that I'm now gonna live, this isn't a life that is worth living. Being in the hospital 24/7, not doing anything, not being myself. So I've dealt with those down, very rough times. But I think what sets me apart from a lot of people is how I handle it personally. And obviously everyone else is very different. Everyone handles things very differently. But I kind of want to share with you a few tips that have helped me out and helped me stay the positive person that I am. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have days where I just sit there and I don't do anything all day, and I will cry about it, and I get upset over thoughts about the future or thoughts about what's happening to my body, and where I get frustrated that I can't walk up 3 flights of stairs. Yes, that all happens to me. Yes, I deal with all of that just like anyone else who has CF. But I think what I've actively done in my life is I've consciously and consistently tried to overcome those thoughts within myself. No one can help you, and no medication or SSRI or anything like that is gonna help you unless you are choosing to help yourself. So I'm trying not to make this too long because I do not deal with mental health as a lot of other people do, but I kind of just wanted to provide a little bit of a different perspective from someone who doesn't deal with it but also still has cystic fibrosis. And I want to give you guys a few tips that have given me the ability to stay the person that I am and kept myself mentally in control of my thoughts and my emotions and a lot of that throughout a lot of the hard times that I've had to deal with. The first one that I think a lot of people fall into is that I try not to compare myself to other people or even the person that I was a few years ago. I think with social media, it's so easy for us, especially CFers, to get down on ourselves by seeing someone else who's the same age as us who has 93% lung capacity and we're over here with 24. Comparing ourselves to others is a constant way that your mind is just going to be put in a negative mindset where you feel like the lesser person. If you try not to compare yourself to others and only compare yourself to who you were yesterday, then those little accomplishments, maybe you went and had a PFT and now you're at 25%. That's an accomplishment for you. Just because it's not an accomplishment for Susie 93% over here, doesn't mean it's not an accomplishment. And I really think a lot of the negative thoughts about our situations and ourselves stem from comparing ourselves to others. And I even had to do that when I became very, very, very sick. And my life did a complete 180. I was a perfectly healthy 18-year-old 1 year, and then a few years later at 21, I was lifting 1-pound weights in pulmonary rehab feeling accomplished. And I had to sit myself down and say, you have 2 choices. You can either feel bad about the fact that you can't do what you used to be able to do, and you can dwell on that, or I had the choice to start over new. And I, from that point on, decided I'm not gonna feel bad about myself. I'm not gonna keep comparing myself to who I was and making myself feel bad. I'm gonna start over from right now, and if I get better within the next year, that is an accomplishment, because I can't go back. I can't take time away. I can't be 18 again and do things differently. What I had to consciously do was say, look, there's a fork in the road and I can choose which one I want to go down, and I'm just going to try and forget about the life that I had, because that's not the life I'm living right now. My life right now is even still very different than when I was 18. And I had to make the choice to start new and learn what my new life was gonna be about. Learn what I could do, what I couldn't do, my limitations, and then be proud of myself for overcoming those limitations and stop comparing myself to what I was doing or running or going upstairs 3 years ago. Another thing that I really think that helps me stay in the same mentality that I'm in and stay positive is to occupy my mind and my time with things that bring me joy and mental clarity. Now, for me, that is yoga and meditation and things like that, because it wasn't until I really got into yoga full time that I found it was kind of an outlet for me, where I was able to just get out of my body for a second and think and reflect on who I was. And being on my mat for an hour brought me such joy and release, and starting to read about more internal based success and mindfulness. So I know for a lot of people, yoga might not be their thing, But whether that's reading, whether that's working out, anything that brings you joy, because when your mind is occupied, you don't have the same amount of time to think about things that we all as CFers do worry about. Death, health, lung function. If you occupy your mind with more positive things and things that bring you joy, then your mind won't have the time to think about those things that will bring negativity into your mind. Another thing that I really do that helps me is I surround myself with supportive people, whether that be my dad or my boyfriend or my brother or the friends, family, those people. They are the kind of people that when I do get down, I feel comfortable opening up. I feel comfortable telling them how I'm feeling, and they can help me through that. I think it's really hard for a lot of us to open up to people, but having that support system around allows us to be able to open up to people, to say, hey, I'm having these thoughts. Can I just talk to you about them? Can you help me? And it makes you feel so less alone, and you feel heard, you feel validated. That support system is so I choked on my spit. That support system is so vital in not only CF care, as in the hospital and things like that, but in your mental clarity and your mental health, because they're the kind of people that can help get you out of things like that. The last thing that I think really can either help or hinder if you don't do this, especially for CF patients, is to take things day by day. What I mean by that is I really think that as a CFer, I was given a double-edged sword. I was given a life expectancy of X amount of years, and that means that, yeah, maybe I will live that long, maybe longer, maybe less, but that puts my brain in a certain outlook, and it allows me to only look at life one way. For me, it's been very positive because I've lived my life to the fullest. I haven't, sat on my ass and just waited around to do things, because I know life is precious, life is a gift, and life isn't guaranteed for everyone. And I think CF really did give me that. But the alternative edge of the sword is that you might not live till 90 or 80 or 70 or 60. As a CFer, the likelihood of our life getting shortened is very likely. And I think that plays with a lot of people's mental status and mental health so gravely. And the sad thing is, like I said, it's a double-edged sword, but no one else is given it in the regular community. I know people who have come and gone who didn't have cystic fibrosis. I know people who have died from car accidents, from so many other things, but they didn't live their life with this looming cloud of death, even though they're already gone. The sad thing about cystic fibrosis is it gives you that cloud of what if, what is gonna happen? Whereas if we never had that expiration date, we would never even think about it. I honestly try and take things day by day, because whether I have cystic fibrosis or not, nobody knows how any of us are going to die. Nobody knows if I'm going to die because of cystic fibrosis or go skydiving and my chute not open. No one knows. And I think one main thing that's helped me is I've had to really alter my mental processes to view my life in a day-by-day fashion. And yes, I do have plans for the future. Yes, I have things like that. But I try not to dwell on the negative aspects of what if or death or things like that, because my friend who doesn't have cystic fibrosis could get hit by a truck too. The same likelihood as me, they could die before I do. So the fact that we were given this expiration date really gives us the benefit to live life to the fullest, but also has us glaring in the face of death at all times. And I think it really takes a lot of mental strength to overcome what we were given and that thought process that it's so easy to fall into. So try not to make this video too long. Like I said, this isn't the dog is scratching herself. She's done now. But like I said, mental health and mental illness is not my forte. I went to school for psychology because I did want to learn about it, and I'm so intrigued by it. And I really hope to work in the mental health field one day. So I see no stigma around it, no taboo. This is just simply my life, my story, what I believe is the minority within the CF community, and some of my tips on how I'm able to keep my mental status the way it is. So I hope you guys learned a little bit about me and what I feel on mental health. Check out everybody else's video. So we will see you next week on Staying Salty. So hashtag keep staying salty. Bye guys.